guys, Jennifer here. I wanted to come to you just to discuss a little something with you, and something that me and Jesus talked about a week ago. About a week ago, I had a conversation with the Lord, and I said, please explain to me what you mean by I hate the hands that shed innocent blood. Now, me, all my life, I've always thought hands that shed innocent blood is just someone who is killed wrongfully, or like say someone gets shot and they're a victim walking down the street, something like that, one who didn't cause the murder or whatever. So I said, what do you mean by that? And Jesus specifically said to me, and only God can reveal revelations to you like this. He said, hands that shed innocent blood are people who murder those who haven't had the chance to sin. And I began to think, I'm like, well, who is that? Who could that be? Who, like what kind of person who have never sinned besides Jesus Christ? And that's the unborn. The unborn are the ones who have not had the chance to sin. And God says he hates it. Not he dislikes it. He hates it. And I like to say this, what we put our money towards, we support. And what we put our vote toward, we support. This is this year and every year to come. Whatever we put our vote or money in, this is what we're supporting. And God specifically says in his word that he who does wrong yet knows to do right, to him it is sin. So, children are being butchered, innocent children who haven't even had the opportunity to sin, because they're in their mom's womb. Okay, so I feel deep in my heart that the Lord told me to say this. There's a lot of things that God reveals to you that you're not supposed to tell people, but this I believe the Lord released to me to let everyone know that hands that shed innocent blood are people who allow or are the ones who make happen the abortion of children. And it's not even, I don't like to say the word abortion because it's like a prettier word, I guess, but it's full-blown murder. It's bringing back the spirit of Baal and Moloch. And if you don't know what the spirit of Baal and Moloch are, read the Bible, do your research, okay? This is a time when, back in the day, in the ancient times, when people would have children and they would actually offer their children up to a god called Moloch, okay? And there would be fire coming out of his mouth, and they would burn their children alive. The kids would scream, and it was just the worst thing, but they felt as if this was a form of worship, and this is what's going on. Witchcraft is on the rampant right now. Your next door neighbor could be a witch. Witches are in schools, hospitals especially, churches. Oh yes, churches. They're assigned, okay? This is all because Satan knows that his time is short, all right? And he is trying to depopulate as much as he can. When God sees you, you know who he sees? I'm sorry, not God. When the enemy sees you, the Satan, you know what he sees? He sees the face of God. So every time he sees every last human being, not an animal, every last time he sees a human being, he sees the face of God, and he hates it. Every last thing that has been passed, that's been a law, okay, that's been an abomination to God, that God hates, it's always for depopulation. Just think about it. Everything that's been passed, say within the past 8 years or so, that's been accepted. Think about that. How could that be a form of depopulation? Okay? Satan hates us. And we as Christians, and if you're not a Christian, I encourage you to get into the word, get to know Jesus because he loves you so much. But every last person, I'm sorry, and I have to say this one thing. I feel as if Christians have lost the fear of God, but not even Christians, because the reason why I say this is because but 100 years ago, and so far, even like since the beginning of the time until 100 years ago, people feared God. Not just Christians, okay? People feared God. They knew and understood that if they did some things, they were scared that God would punish them in some way, or they would honor God because they knew that things would please God, even if they weren't a Christian. You don't have to be a Christian in order to fear God, okay? You just have to know that you are not in control and you are not omnipresent. You are not God, okay? But we are God's finest creation. And I feel like Christians today, the gospel has been watered down so much, even though the gospel itself cannot be watered down, preaching and teachings have been watered down, okay? And people just believe, okay, since I'm saved, I can just do whatever I want after I'm saved. It doesn't work like that. It's a transformation of the heart and a transformation of the mind, okay? So I feel like Christians have lost their respect for God, their love for God, so to speak, because if you love God, guess what? You keep his commandments. That's what Jesus said. You love God, keep his commandments. So I just urge you, before you vote, whether this year or 2 years from now or another 2 years, whatever, consider the love of God and the fear of God, because there's going to be a day when every last one of us is going to stand before God, and he's going to judge every last one of us, good and bad. And guess what? How we vote, how you vote, how I vote will come to the table. Will you be held accountable? Will I be held accountable? God hates, abhors the hands that shed innocent blood. Do you love God enough to vote how his heart is? I'm going to leave this Bible verse with you. It's Ecclesiastes. It comes from the wisest man who ever lived. It's Ecclesiastes 12:13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.